Have you ever been to a situation when you take 1, 2, 3 steps forward and then you face a challenge only to go 7, 8 steps backwards? I am here to explain to you why and how we can correct this. Now, you might be saying, I know the year is just beginning, and you might be saying right now, I am done with last year. I'm done with unseriousness. I'm done with unfocusedness. I'm done with excuses, and I'm ready to walk in the abundant life in my potential this year. In which case, I applaud you and I welcome you. But before you turn yourself loose into the year, you ought to know what is it that you are walking into? What exactly are you meaning? So, in other words, what is the attitude, or what spirit do you possess, or what belief do you have? Because each one of us, we must be able to have clear answer for this in preparation for those days when the enemy will whisper in your ear. This is why I have this video to help you be able to establish yourself to walk in your right potential, to work to achieve your goals, to maintain that momentum, because we are all going to face it. We are all going to pass it. It is called this entrepreneur journey. It is called entrepreneur journey. Each one of us will be able. I don't care. Yes, I know. I have people here who are just beginning to figure out what their offer is, and then there are those other people who they have been doing this for a while, and you're at this point where you just want to scale up and get bigger results. Yes, we are all here, but in different places. But wherever you're at, you need to understand that there's a journey called the entrepreneur journey, and it is the same for everybody. It does not matter how skilled you are. It doesn't matter how much you are making. It's always like this. You must be willing to understand it, and you must be willing to accept it. If I were to give you a graph, the entrepreneur journey is always up and down, up and down. So what am I meaning by this? I'm saying you are going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. That is just it. It's going to happen. So when the bad days come, when the bad days knock our door, most of us, we always have this tendency of losing momentum. And so when the good days are coming and you are making this progress, you are all moving. But when the bad days hit, guess what? You lose that momentum. You begin to focus on more of distractions. You begin to focus not on the things that move you forward. And before you realize it, you are 4, 6 steps backwards. So we lack the tenacity to keep on moving despite the challenges. We lack the energy, that internal fortitude, that self-discipline to keep on moving. But where does this all start? That is why I am on this video. Now, here's the truth that you must understand. Successful people, every successful person, they have a very unique mentality and attitude different from failures. That is a fact, and that is a principle. Successful people have very different attitudes and very different mentality from failure. So I want you to discover for yourself what it takes to graduate from being a failure to being a successful entrepreneur. Because sometimes you think it is the results that bring that. No, it's not the results. You think it is the tools you have. No, it's not actually the tools. First, we must understand what a successful entrepreneur is. My definition of a successful person is one who is ruling in his or her creative area. He is the king or the queen of her domain. For example, if you're in music, then you are ruling in that domain. That to me is what I refer to as kingdom success. Now, this is then, having understood that success means that you are the king or you are the queen, then what separates a king from a slave? Because that is the principle that we must understand that is going to separate successful people from failures. It is what separates a king from a slave. Now, we go to begin from first principle. We go to begin from the word. I love principles because they don't change. I mean, principles are not like, it's a Monday, it's going to be different. You are black, it's going to be different. You're white, it's going to be different. Principles remain principles. So now, talking about principles, and in regard to what we are talking about today, it's very interesting in the Bible that God himself, who is the king of all kings, identifies himself with two animals, specifically two animals. One is the eagle and the other is the lion. Now, guess what? Both of these animals happen to be the kings of their domains. Is it a coincidence that God only identifies himself with the king, with kings of their domain? No, because God himself is the King of Kings. Might he be communicating something to us? Might he be teaching us something? I believe that since we are in the image, we are created in the image of God, in his image, then God is giving us a prototype. He is giving us, he's shooting for us exams that we must study these animals if we are going to be able to be successful as humans. So we are aware that this is something that human beings have done so well. They have studied birds, and it has led to the development of planes. They have studied horses, and that's when we came up with cars. And so if we can study these two creatures, then it's going to help us understand what it takes for us to be successful, for us to be rulers of our domain, for us to become kings of our domain, because each one of us, you have your micro niche that God is saying you have to be able to rule in that area. This is where I get my whole mission from. Obadiah 21 talks about it, that out of Mount Zion is going to raise up saviors who will rule over Mount Esau, and in that the kingdom shall come. So God is after rulers. God is after raising some saviors, some influencers, some consultants, some coaches who are going to go out and rule over the mountain of Esau. Mountain of Esau in this case means the world. So for us to do this, for you to be a ruler, he is cheating for us exams and saying, okay, look at me, myself, the ruler of all rulers, the king of all kings. I am identifying, I'm cheating you an exam that studied the lion, studied the eagle. So we need to then understand what is the nature, what are the attitudes, and why is the lion and the eagle the kings of their domain. Now, let's pick up one of these, and I want to pick up the lion so that we can study and help us to be able to move forward this year, because I'm talking about this topic, my daughter was saying about only believe, and so we're going to understand the importance of this issue of believing. So let's look at the lion. The lion embodies the mentality of a ruler. The lion embodies the mentality of a king. Why? He's the king of his domain. But here is something about the lion you might have not thought about. You see, the lion is not the tallest animal. Did you know that? The lion is not the fastest animal. I hope you knew that. He's not the largest animal. He's not the heaviest animal. He's not even the smartest animal. Yet he is the king of all the animals. Wow. Wow. He is the king of all the animals. It's as if, for me, this is confusing, because when you think about God, then because the creator, you think about mighty and power and all this kind of thing. But now God associates himself with the animal that actually cancels all our excuse, that you don't need to be tall, you don't need to be fastest. Because for me, in my mind, if I'm thinking about the king of the jungle, he has to be the tallest, he has to be the smartest, he has to be the fastest. If I were to create an animal that's going to be king, I would put all of those things in it. That was not the case. That's not the case with the lion. So we have to understand what makes a lion the king of the jungle, and why does God identify himself with this animal? Listen, he's not the smartest, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest, but he is the king. I guess all of us know why, because this is not anything new. This is a great principle, that why the lion is the king is simply because of his attitude. Attitude. It is the attitude. The difference between a failure and a successful person is simply his attitude, is simply their attitude. It is the thinking thinking of a person that makes him see situations differently. And so once you see situations differently, then you're going to approach it differently. So nothing in your life, nothing in my life is a problem. It's just an opportunity for me to grow. That is how I look at situations. That's how I look at things. Do I have problems? Oh, I have enough of it. I have enough of it to occupy me all the night. So I have enough of it. So the interesting part is this. Because attitude, or your attitude, I want us to understand this, is a product of your belief system. You see, attitude is a product of belief, because we are not all born with attitude. No, your attitude is a product of your belief system. So you can never have an attitude beyond your belief. What I'm saying is very important. For us to be able to solve this issue of, you know what, I gain momentum, things are good, but I hit a challenge and then I go back again. For you to be able to address this, no, don't look at the tools that you need to change tools. Don't look at, look at your belief system, because your attitude is a product of your belief system. See, that's what Jesus says. He says, fear not, just believe. Believe is at the core of your results. You see, the lion is the king because of what he believes about himself, and he believes about the elephants. You see, the lion is the king because of what he believes about himself and because of what he believes about the elephant. The lion believes that he can eat the elephant, and the lion believes that the elephant is his food. That is what the lion believes. Now, do all circumstances line up in that? May not be, but that is what he believes. My question to you, let me ask you this question. What do you believe about yourself? Now, I've paused intentionally because I want you to think about that. What do you believe? What do you believe at your core? Because don't rush this question. I'm not talking about what do you know about yourself. Oh, you see, I'm not, but I'm really looking at what do you believe? What is in your heart? What do you know about what do you believe about yourself? You must move from your head to your heart. So if you're going to be a ruler, if you're going to be a king or a ruler is born when you discover a new belief system about yourself. For you to rule your domain, it's not because you've gotten some tools. It's not because tools are not important, don't mistake me, but the beginning of it is because you've discovered a new belief about yourself. This is the secret of a true leader. Because your life is what you think it should be. Your life is what you think it should be. So if you don't like who you are right now, for example, that situation where you gain momentum, things are moving all well, then you hit a challenge, because of the entrepreneurial journey, when you have a bad day, you go back again 4 steps backwards, 5 steps backwards. You got to be able to change your thinking. And you know, most of the time, the quickest way to do that is begin by changing your associates. Begin by changing your associates. So no amount of skills, no amount of training in skills or tools can substitute to the right attitude. And remember that your attitude comes from what you believe about yourself. So that is why if you study the Bible, a lot of those people those people of the Bible that God dealt with them, God had to get them out of their environment. They had to leave their family and go to a new place so that God could work on their thinking. He did this with Abraham. He called Abraham out of his home. He did this with Moses. He got him out of Egypt. He did this with Joseph. So he always gets people out of their environment. So what then, if we are talking about your belief, your attitude to be everything, then what is this rulership? What's the attitude that rules? Because here you are to be able to rule in your domain. You see, the attitude, the true attitude that rules, if you want to be able to rule in your domain, then the attitude you need to have, you must have a perception of who you are. You must not believe in other people's concept about you. If you want to be able to rule in your area, to rule in your domain, then you must believe in who you are. not what other people say about you, not other people's concepts about you. Good or bad, don't believe other people's concept about you. You see, a story is told of a lion that was separated from its parents from after birth. And so this lion grew up with the sheep. It grew up, a farmer picked it and then brought it home. And so the farmer fed it on milk. And so it grew up with the sheep. And so it grew up thinking he was a sheep because of a result of this association. And this is the problem. Most of us, we define ourselves based on association. Let me ask you a simple question. You think if you had grown, you, the same you, father and mother, and you had grown, say, in Europe, would you be the same person? You would have the same blood, but you'd be totally different attitude, different accent, different language. So most of us, until now, we've just accepted that we are a result of our environment. We've not sat down to say, no, but if I was an outcome of my environment, who am I? Who am I? Who is the real me? So that you can develop yourself based on the real you. So the story of this lion, because he grew up with the sheep, he began to drink like the sheep. He began to live like the sheep. He began to eat like the sheep. So in his mind, he actually became a sheep. And a lot of times we live below our potential. We live below who we were called to be simply because we have accepted our environment. We've accepted the attitude of our environment. We've accepted that we are just a product of our environment. So you are born to rule in your creative space. That is something I want you to settle. You and me are born to rule in our creative space. But it begins by you discovering that creative space called your purpose. You must discover your purpose. You must discover your creative space, the space that you're supposed to create and be able to produce products from. And nobody can tell it to you. No one will just say, you, the way I see you, this is your purpose. You must discover it. You must discover. Otherwise, if you don't discover it, you're going to live an average person, just living an average life. Yet, guess what? You are a solution to your generation. That solution may not be worldwide, but you're a solution. There is a small solution you have to a certain group of people, and those people really need it. Those people really need it. So you are born to solve a problem. Yes, there are more than 7 billion people right now living on Earth. Every one of them is unique. Can you imagine that? Everyone has a unique ability. Everyone has a unique purpose, and everyone is called to be able to come up with a vision. Imagine if all the 7 billion people were to discover the problem they were born to solve. This place would be much better. Earth would be a beautiful place. So my point today is this. You can have the potential. You can have the skill, but you must develop belief in yourself. You must develop belief in yourself. You must develop belief in yourself. See, across the whole Bible, we see great leaders. They had long beliefs about themselves. And so when God encountered them, God had to tell them, no, you don't have to believe that about yourself. That's what, you go to believe in line with what you're born to believe. Think about Moses. He says, I can't talk. God says, go. I'm sending you. Think about Gideon. He says, you know what? I'm the least among my family, and my family is the least. God says, look, you are almighty man of valor. God talked the opposite. Abraham, I'm too old. God said, you know what? I have a promise. You're going to be the father of all nations. Jeremiah is here saying, I'm too young. God said, don't tell me you're young. All these great leaders, they believed wrong things about themselves, but they had to change. They had to change so that their potential comes up. The same with you. You must change your belief. You must change this attitude. You must focus on your attitude. So your mentality must equal your belief system. You are thinking, what you think in your head must equal to what you believe in your heart about yourself. This is where you are going to be at a place where now you're ready to rule. Otherwise, if that doesn't happen, anything will happen in the outside. You see some result, but when the outside changes, in other words, you are simply influenced by the elements of the world, and you cannot make great progress in that way. So my challenge to you in this video, my challenge to myself in this video, is to make sure that our mentality and our belief system are the same. This is what makes an elephant act like a sheep in the presence of a lion. Think with me for a moment. Look at Mr. Elephant. He's bigger than the lion. He's heavier than the lion. He can stamp on the lion. Think about it. He has all this potential. He has all these tools. He has all these skills. He has all these things. But when he sees a lion, he begins to shiver like a small cat. He freezes like a little sheep. Why? Because of his attitude. Because of his attitude. So to be the king of your domain, it starts with you discovering who you are in your core. And then you start to build self-confidence based on who you are. Your self-confidence in itself is a result of your belief. That's why I'm saying you got to believe. You got to believe in who you are. So if you don't like how you're behaving right now, if you don't like the result that you're getting, then change your behavior by changing your belief system. Change your behavior by changing your belief system. You know, most of us don't approach it like that. Most of us approach it by trying to copy someone else, trying to say, maybe I don't know how to do this. Maybe, you know, it's just doing. No, but it's not the doing, it's the being. And if you're going to change the being, it starts with you discovering yourself. So, my friends, don't let life predict life for you. You got to take control. You got to take control. And it all comes to your mentality. That is why you go to change your thinking. And you change your thinking by changing your belief and working hard to make sure that what you think and what you believe are the same. What you think and what you believe are the same. So we can never fulfill our mandate of fulfilling or becoming the king of our spaces if we do not have, or we do not develop this mentality of a ruler. We all must work on our mentality. We all must have the right attitude. So marry your gifts with your beliefs. Once you've identified your gifts, which makes you to say, you know, decide to be in coaching, you decide to be in consulting, you decide to be in entrepreneurship, whatever it is, then now you got to be able to, now that I've discovered my gift, I must marry my gift with my beliefs. You must work. You must feed your beliefs. You must work on your beliefs. The same way you refine your gifts, you must refine your beliefs. But you see, most of us, we ignore the part of the belief and just work on these external things. So at the end of the day, our beliefs sabotage us. But if you want to be a ruler, if you want to be a leader, then the two must work at the same time. So go through a self-discovery process. Discover who you are. Why are you here on earth? And then set your attitude for that. Work on your attitude. Work on your mindset. So your belief system has to line up with what you know about yourself. Let me say that again. Your belief system must line up with what you know about yourself. You cannot believe what others say about you. Believe me, please, 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 please. If I could get my niece, I could get my niece to convince you. Don't believe what others are saying about you. Why? They are lying. They are lying because they don't know you. So with God, the fastest way to do this, if you look at God's strategy, the fastest way to do this is change your association. Change your association. Every time in the Bible, this had to happen. You know, in other words, people had to leave their culture. They had to leave their family. So leaders or rulers are people who choose their friends based on their destiny. It is that simple. Now that you need to know where you're going, then identify. You have to make some tough choices. You have to make your tough choices about your life and your destiny. So it is really not your ability that makes you successful in life. It is your mentality. It is not that ability that makes you successful. It is your mentality. What you're going to do today or not do today is based on your mentality. It's not based on your ability. It's based on your mentality. So, and this is what separates successful people from failures. So the philosophy of successful people is this, or the philosophy of leadership is this, that really trapped within every follower is a true leader. Within you is some great person. Inside of you is some great person. So everybody personally I meet, I understand that they have the potential. But most of the time, the problem is they don't just believe it. Why? Because they were trained not to see it. They were trained, me and you, we were trained not to see it. And that is why I'm a coach. Why? Because I can see it. You see, the greatest gift of a coach in your life is that they help you to see your treasure. So you need to be around people who can see that thing in you, who can see that treasure in you. And the greatest thing, as I've said, a coach or a mentor does for you, they help you to see your true self. So the capacity to succeed is inside of you. Inside every human, they have the capacity to succeed. You got to understand that and you have the capacity to do that thing. You have it. You have the raw material. You have the ingredient. It might need to be refined, but you have the raw material. So if we said, okay, look, the capacity to make, okay, let's say that gold has the capacity to make I'm trying to get an example. You see, if we are creating, okay, let's say phone, just for example, we say the gold has the capacity to make a phone, but of course it has to go through some process to be molded into a phone. If we are to say that, okay, wood does not have the capacity. So in other words, wood, even though you do what to wood, you cannot make a phone out of it. I'm just giving an example, but a gold has the capacity, you see, so you can mold the gold to a phone. I'm just giving this example. I'm not saying that's a fact. So if I say you have the capacity, you see, you have what it takes, you as a human, you have the capacity to succeed. You have that capacity. That is why that's why you're looking for a coach. That's why you need some help. You have the capacity. You must believe that. See, unfortunately, why I'm emphasizing this is we have been trained in our culture that only certain people have that capacity, and that some of us don't have that capacity. This is what the Greeks believed. And so the Greek philosophy is what basically we got from our schools and our universities. I'm talking about you and me. We learned these things. So we have the belief that, so we were just, our whole program of school is for you to be, to get a job. So but I want you to know that philosophy does not come from the Bible. That's not a biblical philosophy. That is a Greek philosophy. So in summary, nobody can teach you to be successful or to be a ruler of your domain. Nobody can teach you that. Nobody can teach you to become yourself. It is something you just got to discover and believe, because the thing is inside of you. So it's not an outside game. It is an internal game. So it's like a bird. A bird was created to fly. You cannot teach a bird how to fly. I know, yes, sometimes the mother bird, this happened with the eagles, has to make the child to do what they were created to do. So they take them up and leave them, and the bird is thinking it is falling, and the eaglet is thinking it's falling. Then they are training it to say, do what you're born to do, because they have the capacity. They have the capacity. So birds are created to fly, so they fly. They're born to fly. They just fly. So you don't see birds trying to be fish or trying to learn how to swim. That's not natural to them. So whatever you are born to do is built within you. It is in your instinct. Nobody can teach that to you. You've got to discover it. And again, most of the time, unfortunately, all of the time, we have been educated out of ourselves. We've been uneducated out of ourselves. So we must choose. That is why we go to choose to manifest the kingship nature in us. And this means we go to discover it, and we go to be able to align our thinking in line with it. So the goal of this video is for you to get to understand that you have this nature, which is your true identity. And once you can believe that, then you're ready for business. You're ready for true business. If you can believe that I have this, my true identity is to rule in this area, in this micro niche, in this space that I want to be able to be successful. If you can believe that you have the capacity, then I can tell you, you can accomplish what God has called you to do effectively. You can accomplish it. So the revelation for what it means to develop and live out that kingship potential is what I'm pushing out for. You got to be discovered, because once you discover that, then all of a sudden, Out of you flows rivers of living water. There's going to be an energy coming from the inside of you. There's going to be power pushing from the inside of you. Will you face challenges? Yes, but you will push through. See, this is why it's important for you to discover who you are. And this is why I'm insisting no one can teach this to you. Go to discover it. So that is why someone can go to a university. We see it all the time. You get a degree, but you cannot still rule in your thing. In fact, you after getting the degree, you are still stuck. You're still stuck. Why? Because it cannot be taught to you. You discover it. And once you discover it and align your thinking in regard to it, then you're ready to move. So you discover who you are, then the king comes out, where now your attitude is in line, is in agreement, is in line with that thing. So everybody is supposed to rule in their area of gifting. And that is why you have a rulership, you have the line, you have the leadership spirit inside of you. So when you understand your gifting, and then you are ruling in it, very important, understand your gifting. And when you're ruling in it, then you do not have to compete with any other person. Once you understand your gifting and you begin to rule in that gifting, then you have decided, there and then, you now stand out. There and then, you're now a celebrity. There and then, you're now a ruler. Because you have no competition. You're just yourself. And in the Bible, you are not trespassing. You know that scripture that says, forgive us for our trespasses? Yeah, because there are people who do not know who they are, and so they are trying to be who they are not. They are occupying other people. They are trespassing in other people's territory, other people's domain. And we see all this happening all the time in the workplaces, in schools and family. People are trying to be somebody that they are not. They are just trespassing. So my simple call to you this morning is discover yourself. Know who you are, and then believe, work on your heart. What it's work that I'm saying. That's why I'm saying, want to believe in that thing, believe in that assignment. And usually nobody can do that for you. You got to do it yourself. So I'm just imagining, if I think about myself trying to be, say, a worship leader or a singer, I can't sing. That's not my gifting. That's the truth. I can't sing. I'm so bad in singing. Yeah, or through a lot of practice and a lot of things, I could sing, but still it will not come out natural. It will come out as a result of a lot of training. But if I look at my assistant, she's a great worship leader. It's very natural. She's gifted in it. She's born to lead in that area. It just comes out of her. And I'm wondering, okay, how can someone sing like that? Because that's not my area. You see, so if I try to be that, believe me, it would be bad. It would take me a lot of work. It would, and then someday it comes out bad, you see. But you see, this is what most of us do. People try to say, oh, because they see the glory in other people, they see the glory other people are getting, so they now want to abandon themselves, and then they want to be other people. That's why to be a ruler, just be yourself. And once you be yourself, believe. So think about my example of the lion. The lion, in the environment that was unnatural to him, he had to think otherwise. He thought it was a sheep because he lived in the farm. Lions don't live in farms. Lions don't live in farms. All right? Lions don't live in farms. So he had to do all he knew, because he has to do what everybody else was doing. But what everybody else was doing was not the right thing, because it was not the right thing for him. He wasn't sheep. But now, because everybody was sheep, then he did what everybody's doing. So our environment, our education, our social training, our culture, our family, our community has been defining us and has been giving us parameters of who we can or can't be. It is that environment. And so this is what God has to destroy. God had to, if you follow how God dealt with these people, he had to destroy that. Everybody that God was going to use, he needed to destroy. If God needed to use them, God needed to destroy that. So in the same principle, we have to defy the stereotypes and the boundaries that cultures and people try to put on us. You see, speak them out. Defy that, go the opposite direction. Do things that people said you can. Stretch. Yes, and don't live in fear. You see, but if I fail, you will still fail even though you don't do it. So do it. Do something. Stretch yourself this year. Do something in line. You see, that's why once you discover your belief, you discover who you are, and you begin to believe in line with that thing, then it pushes you to begin to do this thing that nobody else is saying. You see, so but you automatically pick this, that this takes different thinking. You have to change your mentality in order to become what they said you can't be, so that you can be who you are. You see, so we know, we all know that we are born to do great things. There is a nagging in the inside of us, but we're also accepting that our environment seems to be putting more energy than the internal thing. And that's why I'm giving us the strategy on how to do this from within us. So it starts right in your thinking. It starts in your mindset. It starts in your mentality. It starts in your mentality. And guess what? Only you can change it. Only you can change it. Nobody can do it. Even God can't do it to you. It's not a gifting of the Holy Spirit. Only you can change it. So my challenge to you, I'm calling out to you that if you want to be the kingdom influencer, then take responsibility and work on your mentality. Nobody can do it to you. It's not the gift of the Holy Spirit. You don't receive it. You have, and that's why you have to find a coach. You have to find a true mentor. You have to change your association. You have to read books. You have to bring things that is in line, that's going to awaken, that's going to ignite the other leader to you, in the other leader in you. I want to close this with a very simple, quick one. I want to close this with, I got this from Dr. Miles Monroe. He talks about these two beautiful concepts, the leadership spirit, and he explains it as, you know, that thing that you're born with. It's like the elephant that is born with the natural strength. He's large, he can move trees, he can do all this kind of thing. But then the second one is the spirit of leadership. The spirit of leadership is now the attitude, the right attitude. And he says, for the other leadership spirit, for the other potential to be ignited, you have to develop the spirit of leadership. You have to work on this belief. You have to work on your attitude to ignite the potential. All right. So I don't want you to be like the big elephant with big ears, big muscles, but it's not fulfilling the purpose of moving things. Why? Because it lacks the right belief system. It lacks the attitude. It lacks what the right mentality. So discover yourself and become yourself. The fantastic news is your mentality is up to you. You got to decide, are you going to be a lion or you're going to be a sheep? I pray that you go to be a lion by the beginning to believe you are gifting, to believe who God has created you to be, instead of what the environment is saying about you. It takes work, but guess what? It is very possible. I believe that you can do it, and you must do it. So for you to be able to go and rule over the mountain of Esau, to go and rule over in your area, in your space, then you must begin by believing in who you are created to be. Thank you. I will see you in the next video as we learn to be able to rule over the mountain of Esau. Thank you. See you.